Welcome, beloved Sangha, to the Jewel Ornament of Liberation series, a commentary with the Venerable Khenpo Tenzin. We'll begin in the Yellow Garchen Buddhist Institute prayer book on page 4 and 5 with opening prayers. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Dongge Duji Shajer Zondro, Jinjamata Duja Bonjamba, Zarjalamba, Davrajibaga, Shajer Jadang Jans, Durjin Janjin de Lonaro Dam, Bamala, Chiji Gamboba, Pamodraba, Javan, Dogumba, Kajuloma, Nanje Da Jonsh, Danandana, Sera Damje, the Lama Lapula, Jesus on La Son Dinjam Alawa, Dinde Donjin. Gele zor jina da so lo chu zon do war sin ja lab do so chu lam don do war sin ja lab do so lam dro wa ze war sin ja lab do so dro wa yi yu zon ja war sin ja lab do so gang gen den jan ja ban jong ga pa me ba chi me ba chi ba me ba ta me ba Wa me ban dro me ba ta de do me don je me tu ba ne je je den ba zo ba san je ma nan je tam ba de la jan zar do zhen chen ze wa la ma je je ko zong do Xin lan da 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 ge ju lan pe de da ge den ba da zhen je ja don la bo jan ra ba zhen je la de so Okay, many Tashdele, dear Dharma brothers and sisters. Today, our session is the perfection of wisdom. So now we are Dharma practitioner. We became Dharma practitioner in this life. So this is a very great fortunate. This is the power of our great karma, great merit. So that's where we became Dharma practitioner. So there are many ways to practice Dharma. All of this, all of those practices support to us that to understand the Buddha nature. Even we recite a single mantra or whatever we practice, we meditate for 1 minute or we do prostration only single one time. So all of these practices are cause of attaining Buddhahood. So then, to understand the Buddha nature, there are different ways to understand Buddha nature through the path instruction. For example, look at your mind. and then through this way, and then meditate, and then we ask Guru questions, and Guru give us answers and path instructions. Through this way, we will we understand our nature. We will understand our Buddha nature. And another way is, for example, in the Zopa Chimbo practice, there are practice of Tikchu and Tugar, and it has many methods to practice to recognize our Buddha nature. Recognize means we attain Buddhahood. When we recognize our Buddha nature, then we attain Buddhahood. And then in the Mahamudra, there's 4 yogas: single-pointedness, and simplicity, and one test, and then non-meditation. So through this way, we will understand. And then in the Suttarayana, then it talks about birthless, deathless, no self, no others. Through this way, introduce us our Buddha nature. So all of these practices are for the sake of all of these practices are in order to attain Buddhahood. So why should we attain Buddhahood? Because this is a very big question. Big question means we should ask always ourselves, why am I practicing Dharma? This frequently, often we should ask ourselves, why am I practicing Buddha? Why am I becoming, was I becoming Dharma practitioner? So this always we have to often we ask. There is only one answer actually, because we don't want suffering. This is the answer, short answer. So this question and answer both we can do by ourselves. And then then what is suffering? This part we experienced, and we have been experiencing. So but then what is Buddhahood? If we are going to attain Buddhahood, what is Buddhahood? So then it is birthless, deathless, no self and no other. So today we will go through the reasons and logical arguments for this truth. So perhaps you will heard the new information. Always monks debate like this way in the shadas they do. So we wonder what are they doing, what are they saying, something like that. In today's it comes the kind of this argument. We will understand what they are talking about. Yeah. So then it says, if you have this text, page number 218, but if you don't have this text, then I will read slowly, and hopefully I will able to read clearly. So to the verse summary of the perfection of wisdom, this is one sutara name. Also says, also means already another this perfection of wisdom in 700 lines also talked about that. So that's where that we already discussed on there. So today it's to understand every phenomena to be without inherent existing is to engage in the practice of excellent perfection of wisdom. So always we say perfection of wisdom, perfection of wisdom. So what is this? So here it says, to understand every phenomena. Every phenomena means all the things, yeah, aural, elements, inner sentient beings, mountains, rivers, wind, fire, every phenomena to be without inherent existence. Inherent. We say, oh, something exists, but then we break them or burning in the fire or doing something, not like that. Inherently, this book is not exist. This book without exist inherently. So is to engage in the perfection of excellent perfection of wisdom. When we understand that, we call it wisdom. So still we have this hand. This is whose hand? This is my hand. So this is my hand, and then my wisdom focus to my hand. So then my wisdom understand this hand is not without inherent exist. My wisdom understand. But this wisdom, it is also not exist inherently. So my hands and my wisdom are same. So that's why we say this is Dharma Dhatu. My hand we call Dharma Dhatu, and my wisdom we call wisdom, yeah? So when I recognize that my hand is Dharma Dhatu, my hand is inherently non-exist, and then at that time, my wisdom we call clarity, because it understands clearly my situation of my hand, the natural state of my hand. So then Guru introduced that your hand is inherently non-exist, without inherent exist. Guru says that, and we understand, oh, so this is we call clarity. So then eventually we focus on, eventually means after that I focused my hand, and I recognize that my hand without inherent exist. At that time, the subject and object become same. Because my wisdom is Dharma Dhatu, or emptiness, non-duality. My hand is also non-duality. That's where this both become same. That's where in the Mahamudra we call one test. One test means not always some kind of about the test of food. One test means there are many things, but right now I'm talking about a little higher part. So subject, the Dharma Dhatu of my hand, and my wisdom are one test. Same. So if some understand that clearly, when we say that, then after you understand that, you are going to meditate continually. If you aren't meditate continually, your this recognize the realization is also not your realization is uncertain, so it will not stay longer. That's why if you meditate continually, then your this experience of one test increase, like a vaccine moon, or it's developed eventually, and you are completely inside of the one test, which you are completely melt into the one test, which means you see something, you see forms or colors. At that time, your eyes, consciousness, and colors and forms are become one test. And when you hear some sound, at that time, the sound and your air's consciousness become one test. And then same like your nose consciousness and tongue's consciousness and body's consciousness. So all your experiences become one test with their objects. So that's then you totally free from this temporary phenomena. You totally you have freedom. That means you liberate. You are become you liberate it. So there is a saying in Tibet: appearances and liberate. These two words are very important. Appearance, you can hear sound, you can see forms, you can feel some feeling, you can taste some food. These things we call appearances. And liberate means you you don't have fixation. Then, which means you become this one test with them. One test. So then these appearances things cannot make any problems. So you hear sweet sounds or harsh words, same. So sweet, you because you understand sweet word is not exist inherently, harsh word aren't exist inherently. So these both are dharma dhatu. And then you are very relaxed. You feel completely relaxed. So that's why the we are going to increase our bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, this wisdom, in this case, wisdom. Actually, bodhicitta, we say bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta and wisdom are same. We just call different names. In the relative bodhicitta and wisdom are different. Next, Lamb for the path to awakening says, it is clearly stated that wisdom is to understand emptiness, the essential nature, through perceiving the aggregates, the sense base and elements to be devoid of arising. So what does it say? Actually, these our aggregates, like aggregates of body, aggregates of feeling, aggregates of this perception, and so forth. And then another is elements. We have elements because right now our body is warm, is the element of fire, and then we have blood, it is the elements of water, so forth. So these elements, all of these things are inherently not exist. Inherently means since beginningless, they are they were non-exist. If something first exists and then now we make it non-exist, it is this is not, it does not mean inherently non-exist. Inherently means they themselves not exist. Later it explain more details clearly. Okay, so when we understand that, that is we call wisdom. The fifth point concerns that which is to be understood. Of the three types of wisdom mentioned above, last week we said about that. It is the third type, the last wisdom among three, a greater supramundane, supreme mundane wisdom. Last wisdom name is supreme mundane wisdom. That one need to understand. I shall present this by means of 6 topics. So there is actually supreme mundane wisdom means beyond the mundane, the wisdom which beyond the mundane. Which wisdom without beyond the mundane means, for example, I know this is a book. I know this is a cup. These are also wisdom. Or today weather is cold. I am going to wear thick clothes. Today weather is hot, so I'm going to turn the fans. These are mundane wisdom, good wisdom, but mundane wisdom. So then the supreme mundane wisdom means beyond wisdom which beyond the mundane. So wisdom which realize the natural things. Natural things means this very highest emptiness, greatest or very great emptiness. So then Gampopa said, I shall present these by means of 6 topics. Okay. Refutation. Refutation means negation. It's a block. Block means, in this case, disagree. So refutation of belief in substantial reality. So substantial reality means these things, or these are real. Some say that, oh, this thing is real. This thing is real because we hear sound. It is real. It's true. Yeah. Or today weather is cold. It's real. So they believe that. So in this case, refutation of believing in substantial reality is then for the sake of make sense. Gampopa says no. You say today's weather is cold. This is not true. For example, this Gampopa said that. This is number 1. Number 2, refutation of belief in reality, unreality. Okay. Then refutation means the same is the negation, disagree. So then disagree that to others thinking or others saying. So what they say is they believe in unreality. There's nothing. Some even Dharma practitioners think that because it's the first we says inherently, without inherent existence. They hear that means that there's nothing. So this little misunderstand. That way some think they're unreality. No tabor, no book. It's like they directly understand the Heart Sutra. In the Heart Sutra, say no eyes, no nose, no tongue, no. So that's where they directly think, oh, there is a no. So no, the conception of that conception, yeah, that no, this perception is wrong. So that's where it's a refutation of believing in unreality. Then number 3, the mistake of belief in non-existence. Then this all phenomena are, some believe that all phenomena are non-reality, but then they have some mistakes of there. So that's where it criticized to their thinking. Then number 4, the mistake of both beliefs. Both belief means reality and unreality. Some say this is reality, this is a reality, and some say this is in unreality. These both are mistakes. Then number 5, the path to liberation. Then it introduces what is the reality of liberation. We say liberation. Okay, For example, right now we can say Gampopa. You said this reality, the substantial belief in substantial reality is also wrong. Belief in unreality is wrong. So then, what is the real liberation? If we ask Gampopa, and the Gampopa answer here very clearly. And then number 6 is the nature of liberation, nirvana. What is the nature of liberation? It is nirvana. Then how? It's clearly explained that, okay? So then it's explained the first one. Explains the first one. A refutation of belief in substantial reality. In the lamp for the path to awakening, Atisha presents. So Atisha said that what Atisha says is present this on this base of analysis through the major reasoning, he says. So Atisha says, believing in substantial reality is wrong. And then Atisha logically says this is wrong. Reasonably, he explained. So let us see. It is illogical for something existing to arise. For non-existence also they are like sky flowers. So reasonably, what he said, it is illogical for something existing to arise. There is some paradox situation. If something, actually let us say, something already grow, then we say it is birth. It is birth. This is also not true. And then something, if there is nothing, we say there is non-existing, but it still birth or born or grow. These both are incorrect. It's like a sky flower. So sky flower means this is an example that inherently the example of nothing. There is no sky flower, yeah. No one found it. No one get it. Then what he says, as he explains in the teachings on the gradual path means lamram, yeah. All substantial realities or beliefs in substantial reality are included with the two kinds of self-entity, and both those entities are by their very nature emptiness. Okay. So you say or you believe substantial reality. The Atisha said this to someone. You believe in reality substantial. These are included. This is included two kinds of self-entities. Two kinds of, what are them? Self-entity means I is one self-entity, and others is self-entity. So included these two. But I and other both are emptiness. That Atisha said that. I and other are both emptiness. Then how? What then are the two kinds of self-entity? It asked, what are the two kinds of self-entity? They are known as the self of person, and the self of phenomena. Self of phenomena. So I sometimes say there are two kinds of graspings. Yeah, self and others. Two kinds of graspings are them. So right now it's introduced. What is the self-entity of person? There are many views on this. In fact, what is referred to as a person is the continuum of aggregates accompanied by awareness. It is what which does all sorts of things, always thinking this and that, moving and hopping about. About this is Sutara of Fragmine says, the continuum is termed person. It is this that constantly moves about and scatters. So now it's introduced. Usually we introduce what is selflessness, but today I introduce what is self. So self means these aggregates. This body is how to say, this body is aggregates. We call aggregates. We say we have 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates are, in the relative truth, these 5 aggregates are come 5 aggregates come from 5 afflictive emotions. So that's where this we call self and I is to these 5 aggregates. This Atisha said, "Oh, what is I? What is the person?" So person or self or I, we call 5 aggregates. We call I. Then believing such a person to be in internal and unitary entity. So that's unitary entity means we think self is one, and I. We don't think, oh, I is. We think I, and then we think there's I. There is I. It's kind of. If we research, we open our wisdom and we research where's I, we really cannot find it. Even sometimes we scan from head to the feet. Where is I? This is also meditation, but at that time we cannot find I. We scan from head to feet, we cannot find I, but right after that, immediately we again fixate I. So that's where we are fixate one form or one thing that we think that is unitary entity. And then grasping onto it, then we grasp onto it, yeah? And being attached to it. So I first we fixate and identified that this I, and after then we start to attach. We don't think I'm going to attach it, but it's almost kind of naturally we attach it. I is called the selfhood of person or of mind. Sometimes we call it mind. through the notion of selfhood, afflictions will be generated. Through the afflictions, karma will be generated. And through karma, suffering will be generated. Thus, the root of all suffering and faults is the self or mind. Therefore, the thorough exposition of valid cognition says, when I exist, other is known. Through the I and other peer comes clinging and aversion. Through the complex interaction of these arises all harm. So first cling these 5 aggregates. These 5 aggregates comes together, then we call it I. And we fixate this is a one form. When we search this, we cannot find, but still we think, oh, there is I. This is number 1. After what happened is we start to clinging, grasp it and cling it, attached it, and then through this way we start to cultivate karma. Karma means action. Through the attachment, we act something. What happened? This is we call the karma. Through angry emotion, we have action. What is called? That action we call karma. So then we start to act karma. After we cultivate karma, then what happened is suffering. What happened is suffering. It occurs. Suffering. After suffering, then what happened? Then these the unhappiness, life, obstacles, and problems. All of these things occur. So that's why in the actually middle way is very higher subject. So it says, when I exist, other is known. Because they are interdependence. We say this side mountain, or for example, hand, my right hand. Why I call this my right? This to call this my right hand, because of left hand. If we don't have this left hand, we cannot say this is right hand. Yeah, because the right hand, left hand, they are related to each other. So that's where I and others are related to each other. If we are going to fight, I and other are related. If we are going to practice bodhicitta, then these two things have a relation. If we are going to make one test, other words is non-duality, these two things should dissolve together. So that's where is middle way. It says when we have I and we understand others. Through this way, what happened? Then we attached towards I and aversion towards others. So these two emotions arise. What is the self-entirety of a phenomena? Now we talked about the self-entirety of person. Yeah, from head to feet, they come together. Then it called I. And what is other? Then other. So it says, what is the self-entirety of phenomena? Phenomena means other things, others. Yeah. Here, phenomena refers to the outer perceived world and the inner perceiving mind. So two things: outer perceived world, like mountains, rivers, winds, stars, clouds. Yeah. Then inner perceiving perceiving mind. Self-entirety of phenomena. In the future, you have to keep this. There are two kinds of self-grasping. So what is self-entirety or entirety of person, or these five aggregates? And then self-grasping, yeah? And then what is self-entirety or phenomena? So that means these outer things and mind, okay? Why are those two aspects called phenomena or dharma? So dharma, do you know? Usually, dharma is a very, dharma means our kind of practicing. We call dharma. But the Sanskrit, dharma means all phenomena. All phenomena's name is dharma. So, because they possess their own defining characteristics, thus the Sutta of Freak Mind says that which holds defining characteristics is called dharma. So defining means it's itself, even if we go very deep, it's related to our mind. Mind makes something like a bring together, and then mind gives some names, and mind makes something. Oh, this, for example, different wood bring together, make different some design or form and color, and then mind call it table. And then other things bring, and then we call it drum. And then we make something, and we call it shoes. So why the shoes and for example hat and shoes? So we just call different names. Through this way, we are adopting something and rejecting something. This is in what we are doing. But in the reality, why our hat is not shoes? Why isn't our hat shoes? Why our shoes isn't our hat? There is no reason. Because if I loudly say because, but no reason after, because then nothing. That's all. Then sleeping with snoring. That's all. So actually, this is temporarily what we do. So in this some samsaric activities, yeah. And then thus holding the two, the objective perceive world and the subjective perceiving world, to possess substantial reality and clinging to them, called self phenomena. So self. Why we call it? Self means inside of self. For example, we are write something in the tip of the pencil or pen. There's some power, very how to say, I don't know, the material, special material, it can draw something. Likewise, we say self means inside of there has a clinging. So this clinging is in the 12 links origination of interdependence. We have the tankas, this is second one. So the 10th, number 10th is clinging. So this clinging looks like honey. Or not honey, it looks like what is it called? Glue? glue, or it's hold very strongly. Two papers bring together, and you apply glue, then it will hold very strongly. Like the clinging is like that. So the dark clinging, anyhow, this what I say, called self phenomena. Self. This we call it phenomena. Number one, to present how these two types of self entity are empty by nature. It's a very good question, yeah. To present how these two types of self entity, what are self entity of phenomena and the self entity of person, why two types of self entity are empty by nature. Let me read it. To present how these, how, not why, sorry, how these two types of self entity are empty by nature. First, there is the refutation of the self persons. Master Nagarjuna says in his precious garland. Nagarjuna, Buddha mentioned, after I passed away, pre-nirvana, 400 years later, there will one boy come. Come means birth, first, his name is Gelong. Gelong means full ordained monk. Pardin is his name. Gelong Pardin. Then Buddha said, my Mahayana teaching flourish everywhere. So this, then people call them Nagarjuna. So Buddha mentioned before Buddha pre-nirvana. And then exactly Nagarjuna came in this world, and then after Buddha passed pre-nirvana, and then Dharma little bit flourished everywhere, but then Dharma got very big obstacles. So for that reason, some Nagas brought this 12 sutara, like a Heart Sutara, and those there are 12 volumes. There are more than that, but usually we say 12 volumes. So kind of books they brought in their land, Naga's place. So then they kept there, because Buddha has many disciples, gods, demigods, spirits, gods, Nagas, human, of course, and so forth. That's where they kept it. And then because human beings were busy to fight each other, so they have no time to keep these volumes. So that's why, and then some lost. Some would like to keep, but they lost their opportunities to practice Dharma and so forth. That's why we have to know precious human life. We always say we have precious human life. We are not sure when it suddenly obstacles occur. Perhaps some say not allowed to practice Dharma since from today. It's very possible. Who knows? Or perhaps in different reasons, almost there is no way to practice Dharma. So it's very possible lots of obstacles occur. That's why we have to know that right now we have precious human life. Best example is Milarepa. Milarepa, he was a very thankful person, really. But he regret and he practiced it. With one life he attained Buddhahood. So that's where, why not? We So that's where we can attain Buddhahood with this life. So we should keep diligence, and is important. So that's where then Nagarjuna went to this monk went to the Nagaland. Nagaland means Naga's place, and he brought these teachings. That's where right now we have many teachings. So he brought these teachings in the human realm. Then at that time, Nagas, how to say, very devoted him. So then his name became Nagaland. Sorry, Nagarjuna. So we are so grateful for Nagarjuna. Without Nagarjuna, the Mahayana tradition is very difficult to practice right now. So then so then Nagarjuna says in the his precious garland, the notions means the ideas or concepts. Actually, you know these the words, but just in case if some English level is kind of my situation, then that's where I'm saying this for you. So the notions I and my, the concepts I and my deviate. Deviate means it's a mistake actually. Deviate from what is ultimately true. This is the opposite of, yeah. If we concept I and my head, my arms, this is mistake, or this is opposite of ultimate true. Nagarjuna said that in ultimate truth there is no I and my. So that's where it is deviate. Sorry. This means that from the point of view of ultimate reality, those aspects of self-entity do not exist. Self-entity do not exist. So sometimes we say, oh, Sharavikas, practical Buddhas, they are lower practitioners. We are Mahayana practitioners. We are Vajrayana practitioners. But these the entity, self-entity, yeah, self-exist. Selflessness. Opposite of self-entity is selflessness. So Sharavikas, they understand. They have realization of selflessness. But they do not have what? Self-entity of phenomena. So they purify afflictive emotions. But they could not purify obscurations. Only this. But if today for me, I say I'm Mahayana practitioner, I'm Vajrayana practitioners, I received the empowerment, thousands of empowerments. There is a, say, the owl, in the night, boom, boom, it says, what is it called? Owl. He said 6 lies. I remember a few. So then actually there's 6 stars, we call 6 sisters. They asked him, why do you have the ear is very like a tall, like a stand up ear. The ovals ears like many birds maybe have ears, but not like this, yeah. But the owl has the ear like this. Why is it? He said, I received Dharma so much. That's why my ear becomes like that. No, I said opposite. Sorry. I'm almost become the owl now. First they asked, his head is a little bit flat. So then they ask, why do you have like this head design like that? Then he answered, I received so much empowerment. That's why my head is become like that. And then they ask why your ears are very standing up. Are your ears standing up? And then he said, I never heard a single Dharma word. So that's why it's all this lie. First day he said, I received many empowerment. And suddenly he flopped. He's speaking. He said, I never heard a single Dharma word. So kind of this. So we received thousands of empowerment. So we say, oh, I'm Mahayana practitioner, Vajrayana practitioner, but these two kind of self, afflictive emotion, grossly afflictive emotion, we can literally reduce grossly of afflictive. We is too much, I think. I cannot judge your, I really believe you are great practitioners, but I know very clearly by myself. So that's where sometimes we don't want to look down these Sharavikas and practical Buddhas, or you are the lower vehicles, it's but sometimes we are going to look inside, and then so it helpful. However, we try to purify these two self entities. If such a self existed as in ultimate reality, so if self exists as in ultimate reality, means if it is not exist in ultimate truth, then say it should equally be there when ultimate truth is seen. Yet when a mind with insight into sees the essential nature, there is no such self. Therefore, it does not have any true existence. So this is a very high logical point, reasonable point. We say, oh, we have I. For example, right now my guru is in front of me, and I say, I have I. I have I. And then guru said, your self-grasping, self or person or self-entity is, if your self-entity exists, it should exist in ultimate truth. Because in relative truth, we already said in George Atishas also said not truly exist, yeah? But still, if I can't believe it and I can't accept that, I say self-entity is exist and existing, and then Guru said, oh no, if your self-entity exists, then it should exist in ultimate truth. But in ultimate truth, there is no self. For example, you look at the natural state of mind, and the rest is there. At that time, is there self-entity or not? I should be honest. No, that is ultimate truth. So there is no self-entity. So Guru introduced like that, through this way, yeah. So which means we understand. Means this if self-entity. So that means we understand that self-entity is non-exist. Self-entity non-exist, without exist. The precious Galand says, Nagarjuna says again, for when the ultimately pure is fully recognized, just as it is, these two will not arise. So this is Nagarjuna said that if Nagarjuna is here right now, he has no new speech. Same thing. He repeat this word. Because this is very, very important. That's what he said is, if we understand the real great emptiness, for example, or real nature of natural dharma, then he said, I and other, these two conceptions never occur. Never occur. Because is water come from fire? Is water occurred from fire? No. Water cannot occur or comes from fire. Likewise, if we recognize that all phenomena are empty space, so that realization is a perfect realization. So then the temporary, like a trees or temporary things, never occur in the reality things. So in brief, or in fact, Nagarjuna says, if you understand the reality things, then there is no suffering, because there's no this relative unreality things non-exist, and then you will not cultivate negative karma. If you will not cultivate negative karma, you will not suffer. So that's what he said. In that text, the ultimate pure fully recognized, I read okay, just as it is referred to insight into the truth, these two will not arise. Yeah, two means two self entities, means that there will not no grasping I or my. Where a mind or self truly exists, it could be exempt as originating from itself, from something else, or through the three phases of time. Okay, so first, mind and self truly, mind or self truly exist, it could be exempt as originating from itself. So it's if they are exist, they should not related with any other things. They just exist by itself. And then it's or through the three phases of time. So in this case, three phases of time means not the phase, this phase. Three phases of time means in order to three times. In three times, they should exist. In the past time, in the future time, and present. But they are not, yeah? Right now, I have grasping, and the kindness of a guru, and I meditate non-duality, I lost self-grasping. So which means it isn't existing three times, yeah? If it does not arise from itself, actually we have to know birthless. I is never birth. So actually now it started to talk about that. If it does not arise from itself, because as far as the process of origination is concerned, its production must have either already happened or have not yet happened. If it does not yet exist, it cannot possibly serve as a cause for its own production, and if it does not already exist, it cannot possibly become its own result. Thus, something producing itself is a contradiction. Okay, so the contradiction means paradox, opposite. So what is the opposite is, if one says self exists, then self is not birthless. So here says, if one says, or if you say self is existing, then self is not birthless. So it is birth. It is born. So then how it is born? Self-born from others, or sorry, self-born, right now it's not talking others. It says self-born, already born, and again it borns, or never before never born and suddenly it borns. Born is like a bird, yeah. So these two questions, ask two questions. And then I say it's a contradiction, means their answer is opposite. It's not true, which means if before they answer, actually it says, if you say self is born already, if self already born, then don't want to born again and again. For example, if you already inside of this temple, right now you are in this temple, you are staying in this temple, still you have to come from the outside or not? No, because you already here. This is a good example. If you are here and went back and come, it's different. But you are here already and stay here, then again you have to come. This is impossible. Likewise, self already, if self already borns, then still borns is not true. This number one. Number two is, if self never born before, then it will suddenly cannot born. So that's where it says that these are contradiction. This is good words. If your English is same as mine, so contradiction is in the Dharma words that in the Dharma words means it is like a Tibetan called Ngawa. Ngawa means opposite, like sunlight and darkness, so they cannot be together. It does not arise from others. Now it does not arise from others because they are substances other than itself. Yeah. So self, it does not mean, it means self-entity. It does not arise from others because they are substances other than itself. They are separately exist. So they are not, it will not arise from others. But it says clearly now, why can they not be cause? Why can they means other, these substances, other things cannot be cause? A cause alone exists with respect to a result, and as long as there is no result, there is no cause. As long as there is no cause, no result can manifest. Either this is similar to the previous argument. So in fact, here what it says, other things cannot make cause of I or self. So which means, because if other things, before other things make cause of self, if self is result of other things, if before self arises, other things cannot become cause of what? Self. For example, there is one woman, before she gives birth a baby, she was not mother. For example, right now I'm not father, yeah. So maybe this makes sense. I'm not father now. I am not. Some I call just call a name person's name. Uh, Something. That person, not that person's father. The reason is that person is I. I am not cause of that person's father because that person is not my son. Likewise, other things are not cause of self because you say before I asked you here, I asked you self, other things are cause of self before self arise. If you say yes, then it says it is not true because self not born yet, borns yet. So that's why other things cannot become cause. And then opposite is if you say after this self arises, then other things are it is cause, then it's useless. Self already born birth, then why other things still should be cause of self? It's a very higher logical ways this reason. So it says like that. Okay. So that's where self entity, self person, self is cannot arise from others. In the reality, we have to know that we don't want to lose or lost. Main point, lose. Main point is what? Start to establish selflessness. So that's where we have to know that. It does not arise from both, self and others of the above, since both concepts are faulty. Faulty, is fault, mistake. Their view is thinking is fault, as explained above. It does not arise from the three phases of time. Phase means this three times. In brief, this three times, it does not arise. It does not product of the past, because the past, like a seed gone rooting, no longer has any power. So past things cannot give birth self-entity, because, for example, some seed become rooting. It's used, I think, rooting. Gone rooting. Then they don't have power to grow something because their power is gone rooting. So this is example. It does not produced by the future that would be like the child of bearing women. So this is the example. So when bearing women means even some who married but still don't have a child. But the bearing woman, and nowadays this is also that had some don't want child is different, but some want but still can't have. That is we call bearing woman. So these the future cannot do that because it's like a bearing woman. And another example is like a sky flower, bearing woman. And then now what is it called, this rabbit's horn. So these are the example of nothing. So some kind of a joker, they make jokes. They say, oh, I met a son of a bearing woman, and what is it, in the line without any stone, I pick a small stone and the bit kick or bit to the rabbit's horn, and then the sound is very loud. They say this sound is very loud. They just make joke, but in the Dharma, rabbit's horn, bearing woman's child, and some frogs fear or hear. Those things are not non-exist. Sky or space flowers and so forth. But poetries, they have a flower, space flower. Okay, what is that? This is snow. Snows are their flower. So, but this is a different way. Anyhow, it is not a product of the present because it illogical in present. Illogical that it could be both creation and creator in the same instant. So that's where it's very true. If one is cause, one is result. Sometimes I say this. We are going to understand interdependence. This Lord Jitin Sunggung we called the master of interdependence, which means he understood very well about the very perfect truth, or he realized perfect emptiness. So that's where how this is a cause, this is a result. If they are together, then only cause help to result. It's impossible. This both being together. So this both, if both benefit each other, they do. Then we can say result. Result is cause of a cause. Cause of result of a result. If we should say that, do you understand? Cause of result, and the result is a result of cause. Then always birth, always born, and then we, for example, we birth from our mother. Then unlimited is always have to birth from mother. Usually after 9 months or 10 days, for example, then we mother gave us birth. That's all, yeah. And then we just grow. But mother gives us birth after 9 months and 10 days, and then continually she birthed us. It's impossible. That's why illogical means that. So it's not in the present time also self-entity cannot arise or cannot birth. So right now we are talking what? We are on the stage of ultimate truth because we are talking through the perfection of wisdom. So that's where you should come on that stage, okay? Otherwise, this in the relative truth, still they have birth and so forth. Yeah. Thus the precious garland says again. Nagarjuna said, as it is not being obtained from itself, something other, a combination or the 3 times, belief in a self will be consumed. Consumed means it's finished. In this case, finished. So because this self cannot arise from others, cannot arise oneself, and self also cannot arise from 3 spheres, means 3 times. So that's where there is no self. Then not being obtained from means not generated by. So it's just to make clarify. So not being obtained from means not generated. Generated means actually birth, yeah. In this case, birth. But during the practice of bodhicitta, we say generate means we actually arise bodhicitta and then project other beings. I think there are 2 understandings. Alternatively, number B is this morning there are 6 fruitions. So that's where this is number 2. Number 2. Alternatively, one should understand. So this is important. We have to know. So second, refutation of belief in unreality. So right now we are talking about, until now, this morning to till now, I'm talking about the reality. In the reality, self-entity is non-exist, not arise. It does not arise from itself, from others, and so forth, from three times. Yeah. So now second is it says refutation of belief in unreality. It's very important to listen carefully to understand. It's very important. Refutation means block or against argument others' view of belief. Who believe? Some believe in unreality. Unreality means not true, not there's nothing. So actually very easy to say nothing, but not easy peasy to understand that. So that's why here say alternatively one should understand in the following manner. Examine whether or not this self exists. We call self, self exists in the body, in the mind, or in a name. So that's where we okay. Now it is research where is exist self. The nature of the body is that of the four elements. This nature is not ultimate nature. This is relative nature. So in the relative nature of a body is elements. The body's solidity is the earth element. So sometimes we should say, thank you, Mother Earth, because she rented us. She rented us this body. Our consciousness is like a homeless person. It's homeless person, no food. Not only without home, no food. Still, there are many scary things happen. At that time, Mother Earth helps us to rent it. Helped us to rent it. The body. That's where body is solidity. Still, body is too much kind of a very the simple, very how to say, simple. Then easily something happened, but at least 100 year, 90 year, 80 year, or 30, 40, we can exist. Our consciousness can exist in this body. So that's where solidity. Solidity means a little bit is like a frame. This is the earth element. Its fluids. Fluids are the water elements. So fluid means our body has a little bit flexible, and then inside has the blood. These things are water elements. Water rented us. Its warmth is the fire elements. That's we know. And its breathing and movement constitute the wind elements. So right now we can walk the kindness of wind elements. So sometimes we practice Tongli, taking and giving practice. At that time, we breathe out. At that time, we breathe the bodhicitta towards the elements. So then it has the power of bodhicitta, and then we have less natural disasters and so forth. Otherwise, we are not sure. Everything is impermanent. So impossible is possible. It's really happened. Some place has problem of water without rain and something, and suddenly it's a water flood comes. It happened. Some place has always too much rain and or something, too much snow or some problems, and they have no worry about the fire element, but then suddenly it burns their positions. Lots of happened. So that's where, which means these outer elements are unbalanced. The main thing is related to our inner attachment, and aversion are unbalanced. Then it projects outside. So bodhicitta is always a very equality or balance, equanimity. So it has a very benefit. If we cannot bring back their natural disasters, it's okay. Just we breathe out, then how to say, we breathe bodhicitta of mind towards the elements and bring their energies in our body for the sake of practice dharma, or help others. It's good to the nature of a body. Okay. The warmth, movement, the four elements possess neither self nor mind. The four elements, they're neither self nor mind. They not possess self, they not possess mind. Possess means belong, yeah? Just as the four outer elements, earth, water, and so on, are without mind or self. Yeah, that's very true. Usually there's the understand something, or trees has no mind, or flowers has no mind. That is not like this. We can say they have a mind in the relative truth, like we have mind in the relative truth. But right now we are talking about ultimate truth. The elements has no mind, no self. Yeah. Does the self exist in the mind? Then asked, if self exist, self isn't exist in the elements, then we ask, is it existing in the mind? Then it answers, mind has no existence whatsoever. Mind itself not existed, yeah? For neither you nor anyone else has ever seen it. You did not see it, and no one see it, the mind. So that's why mind does not exist. If mind has no actual existence, then self as mind can have no actually existence either. So, for example, if mind now exists, then self cannot exist in the mind. This example is, if there is no rabbit's horn, actually I don't know this real name, but barren horse, the female horse who has no baby, and then we say, I read the baby of barren horse. Maybe some horse has no baby. So if I say I read that, then it's so. Do you understand? Oh, good. This is your wisdom. Okay, thank you. And then where are we? Elements as actual exist. Okay. Does self or all mind exist in the name? Now next question is it exist in the name or not? A name is merely something given arbitrarily. If you would like to know that. Arbitrarily means it's kind of temporary or suddenly just to give name. So for example, my name is suddenly give, yeah? Suddenly give. When I was birthed, my name is exist together, then our gurus or parents don't want to give. Name is okay, but not exist. So that's where name is the self is not exist in the name, because name is suddenly after give name, then we have a self. Before we don't have self, then it's true, but before give name we have self. So that's where it has not substantial existence. Actually, name is not substantial existence. Substantial existence means like these things, these material things are substantial. These many things comes together. These are substantial. So they are. The name is not like that. That's where no relation to and bears no relation to ourself. Self and name are no relation because name is not substantial reality, existence. Thus, the three reasons presented above demonstrate that the self and mind, self or mind of a person has no true existence. Yeah. Second, there is no the fruition of self of phenomena. This is in two. Okay, second self entity is not exist. This is in two parts. There are two parts. Demonstrating the non-existence of the objective perceived world and the non-existence of the subjective perceiving mind. That's I already explained. Outer and inner. As for the first, that demonstrate the non-existing of the objective of perceived world. Okay, it's talk. The non-existence of the objective perceived world. Some believe in the substantial existence of the objective perceived world. Yeah, some believe. Vibhaskas. This is perhaps is the first time to hear, or perhaps you heard, some heard, of course. So this is in the Mahayana. It's I don't know. It's called not Mahayana. In the Buddhism, trees or systems. So this is a very lower system, but they say great things generally. So listen. Let us see. Vibhaskas. For example, hold there to be minute. Minute means a very small particles of matter that exist substantially. Very interesting. So this has many discussions about that. So what they say is how this Mother Earth established. They say the minutes are particles of matter. They comes together and then they made Earth. So that's where outer the phenomena how exists they mentioned here. For example, hold there to be minute. It's small, yeah. Particles, small particles of matter that exist substantially. They are not like a unreality. These are real things. They thought, they believe. They are round and partless. Round, the shape of the minute or small particle is round, like a bean. They say like, but partless. This is quite unimaginable. They say because it's too small, that way it's partless. The aggregation of these particles continuities objects such as material form and so forth. Yeah. So this aggregation means that form of these particles is partless and minute particles. What they do, particles constitutes objects such as material form and so forth. So these are the foundation of all the material things. Small, very small, round, small and round, partless. This is a foundation of all material things. So all material things build through this way. They said that. For example, we build a house. We start to bring small this kind of a small piece of things, wood and something, and then we make big house. Quite similar, they say that, but this is partless and very small thing. As the particles agglomerate means same like aggregation, form, yeah, together. There are interstices between them. So what means? So there's a interstice between them is first there's a very parallel, partless, minute, particle, and then there comes together. Between them has then what is called interstices, means empty space. They are not touched like this, not touched. They are very small empty space. They presently appear as something homogeneous. Homogeneous means different locations or different directions. Just as a yak's tail, maybe you don't have experience about yak's tail. Yak's tail is, yaks have a very big tail on their bottom, big tail. But when we look at the one form like a one form like this. But carefully we look, they each and every has different lengths. They are not become like a looks like a yogurt, but they have a different lengths. Almost just themselves stand up or something like that. So that's where it's a yak's tail, or a pasture of grass does. Pasture of grass does, yeah. Grass does, yeah. The grass, some grass also has the top, they not mixed each other's, relate to each other's, just self-standing. But if you look from far away, they are quite similar. Same, we think it's same, one form, but in the reality, they separately exist. Like that. This is example. The minute particles do not drift apart because the karma of beings cause them to bond as they do. Okay, so then we say these minute particles comes together, but there are these interstices, means it's a gap or small spaces. Why don't they separate? Aren't them separate? So then they say, they believe is karma, our beings karma. Our beings karma, power of karma, they being together, stay together. So this karmic power bound together. Sutrating, actually Sutrantika means so first this Vibhasika is the lowest system of Buddhism, very lowest, and then Susantikas means little higher than them, little higher. So then what they believe, they both says actually these substantials are reality, truly exist. So now we say they are not truly exist. For that reason, first they will let us know what they say. Sutantikas hold that when such a partless particles conglomerate means they also quite similar, they believe as Vibhasikas, but they say conglomerate. This partless particles conglomerate. Conglomerate means they touch each others. So there's the little different is they first they says interstices. Interstices means a gap, they are not touch each others. But in the Strantikas they say agglomerate means touch. So almost if we cannot imagine that it's the foundation of Mother Earth, they are talking about the foundation of Mother Earth, for example. It's then it's touch, yeah, agglomerate. They are without interstices yet. Yeah, exactly. Do not actually touch. This is unimaginable. It's quite difficult. Then these are the view of those two main Hinayana traditions. So today we slightly know about what is the Hinayanas believing. But neither is really the case. So there is no Hinayanas. So what we say, we have freedom. So they neither case means they are not true. They're both not true. Were such a particles to be unitary, then would it not have sides? So this is a very great question. So they both believe particles, where's particle, round particle. Then we asked, do they have sides? Unitary, to be unitary, then would it not have sides? Yeah, not sides. If so, would it not have relative east, west, north, south, top and bottom areas? Because it has not sides, yeah? Then there has no directions, yeah? This makes 6 sides and destroys the contention of it being unitary. If it had no spatial means kind of empty, not like empty space, spatial dimension, all matter would be by nature a sole atom. This is obviously not the case either. This main thing next it's explain well. I think it's better. The 20 stanza says, if the 6 are applied to what is a 1, the ultimate particle has 6 different parts. If those 6 are 1, then substances is only 1 particles. Okay, so that makes more clear. If this particle has different direction or not, we ask them. Ask Vibhasikas and Stantikas. If they don't have these sides and different directions, and then how many times we bring these small particles together, it will not become like a big things. Otherwise, we are going to, why it's increased in the east direction, north direction, west direction. Like we made bread. First, we have very small dough in the hand, and we put on this, put it on the wood or some on the wood, and then we we make bread. At that time, it's become bigger and bigger. So, but you say you don't have these directions. If it has not the 6 directions, the four directions and up and down, this six direction. Without that, then that like a big mountain becomes like a particle, becomes like a particle, the partless particle. So that's why it cannot make a big earth. It cannot birth big earth and big things. It says that. Because it's always become small, not become bigger. As particles multiple, are particles multiple? This is a question. If one particles could be proved to exist, it would be reasonable to propose that many of them could not conglomerate to make multiple entities. But since the existence of the partless unity cannot be proved, multiples of them cannot be proved to exist either. As a consequence, since particles have no substantial existence, in outer substantial reality composed of particles of such a nature cannot exist either. This is a very hierological, reasonable. If there is no one particle, in fact, if there is no one particle, then there is no many particles. So that's why if there is no many particles, then there is no one particle. So that's why this is not exist. Particles are not exist, non-exist. So this is reasonably mentioned here. We say, oh, there is the part, there are real things. For example, till now, I believe this cup, for example, this top of a cup, this is real. And then somebody hit my head, it blood come, I'm in pain, I'm hurt. So that's where I lose my freedom under my cup. Because I have fixation or grasping that this is real. And then somebody particularly say this is really exist. Who say Vibhaskas and Stantikas, they said they are partless particles, minutes, and so forth. They use many this word like a agglomerate and so forth, conglomerate and so forth. So through this way they say it exists, but then we asked, is there has one peerless particle or not? If there is no one, then there is no possible 100. If there is 100, then there need one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. We have to count through this way. So in the this self phenomena is existing, or self phenomena non-exist. The reason why is that you may wonder. That means maybe you think, yeah, it says, what is actually manifesting right now? Okay. If you say no self entities, they ask us. You say no self entities and no self phenomena, and then we see something. What are them? They asked, what are them? So what is actually manifesting right now? Even right now, not about in past or future. Right now, there is something. You are walking. We are talking. What is this? For example, they ask. It is an image in the mind that appears to the mind as being in outer world. This occurs through delusion. If you ask how can we know that is so, the answer is that it can be known through scriptural authority, reason, and examples. So right now what we see is delusion. Why are they delusion? Because we see through our mind. We see through our mind. For example, in the night, I sleep in my bed, very deep sleep. If someone comes to there, they draw something on my face. At that time, still I have consciousness in my mind, in my body, in relative truth. But I don't have a gross consciousness at that moment. So for that reasons, I'm not angry. Even someone just bring billions of dollars in front of me and hold, I will not say thank you at that moment. The reason is, if this body makes or these things are reality, why don't I say thank you, or why don't react something like that? But only mind. I wake up and my gross consciousness knows, oh, billions of dollars, thank you so much. Or somebody draws something, oh, please don't do. So everything made by mind. That's where it's this right now. They asked what is actually manifesting right now, because it is illusory, or delusion, because it made by mind. So the answer is that. And then how should we know? They ask wonderful questions. Yeah, how do we do? They are very good, because they mundane debate and those vipassikas. Then later today maybe we will not finish about mind only school, and Madhyamaka. They have also a discussion out there. So Stantikas, their debate is very smart. Very smart means they promised, oh, my promise is this, my view is this, and others' view is that, and then start to debate. After they give logical point, reasonable thinking, and they don't say still my is best. They're agreed. Even they follow. So that's why in India in ancient times, between non-Buddhist and Buddhist, they discussed about Dharma many times, and then they say, if after that one lost and other win, they should follow. They just follow voluntarily. It's not somebody say you should do that. So in the Dharma practitioner, many Dharma practitioners, first they are non-Buddhist and they are very scholar. They have a power, magical power, miracle power, because they practice in the forest. They have a really wonderful. But then also they logically, they reasonably bring their view of point, and then they discussed with Arya Deva and so forth. There are many stories, and for many months they discussed. Eventually, then they really found, oh, ultimate truth is like that. When they figure out, then they practice it. It does not mean they follow. Actually, its word is a little funny. They follow in Buddhism. Not like that. They practice. They thought, oh, this is my best way to practice, because I can liberate from this way. That's why then through this discussion, they understand very well. They already have background of knowledge and experience, and then they transform into the like a practice. So they become each other's practitioners. There are many happened. So that's where they ask a question is a very even question is a very good question. How can we know that is so? The answer is I think answer is that it can be known through scripture, authority, reason, and examples. Then our experiences and path instructions, everything included there. So today we will stop here, and then next week continually we will I will teach on there. And thank you so much for coming, for joining, and let us dedicate our virtues. Chanchu sencho rinpoche ma ji ba nan ji jur ji ba nyam bar mi bar yang gong de pe war shu.
May bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time, and may you have happy mind and healthy body.